All right, time again. Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We're here for Women's Champions League action as we're into the knockout round playoff stage. Should be interesting. It's the inaugural time that we're going to be watching this stage of the competition. Obviously, the new format in place now. It's a stage of the tournament, however, I thought we'd have a lot of excitement. But as we come into OH Leuven versus Arsenal, and actually all of these games, 3 out of the 4 ties have already been played in the league phase. What impact does that have on a game like this evening?
Oh, it's absolutely massive. You know, when you go into these knockout ties and it's up against sides that you don't know or you haven't played for a few years, it's a test. You're going into the unknown a bit and you're going into the tie a bit blind. Of course, with the modern analysis, that's a bit different, but there's still that element of not really knowing the opposition. But when you've already met an opposition in the same season, you know what to expect, you know what they're going to give you and how they can hurt you, and you can adjust your play accordingly. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing that what was meant to be new ground for this competition, 3 out of the 4 ties we've already seen. But knockout football is very, very different to league phase format, and I think that will show itself across these playoff ties.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this one's heightened because the matchup was only back in December, so it's also been an incredibly short amount of time since we saw that game. But with that in mind, do you think that's why we're seeing Slagers go for a rotated side this evening, knowing how strong Arsenal looked in that fixture earlier in the tournament?
Yeah, I think so. As you say, they have a good yardstick to know what kind of quality, what kind of challenge OH Leuven will bring tonight, and I think that Slagers, after a very taxing Champions Cup campaign, league game as well, I think that it makes sense to rotate it a bit tonight. She knows the players that she's put out there are good enough to get the job done, and that's the main concern for Arsenal tonight. They're not looking to, for their best 11 to go out there and score loads and loads. They're looking to get through the tie, and I think that Slagers has definitely got that at the forefront of her mind.
I do think it reflects somewhat poorly on Uefa. I don't think they'll be best pleased that Arsenal coming into this game, they're rotating because they know that they shouldn't have too much of a problem, and that this whole new format they've put together sees 3 ties in this stage of the competition that we've already seen. So they're the only problems. Other than that, we've had a lot of joy with this new Champions League format. Let's start then with the lineups for this evening. We are at the King Power at Den Drief Stadion in Belgium, and we'll begin with the home side, OH Leuven. It is a 4-3-3 for OH Leuven. In goal, Seinhever, a back 4 of Janssen, Mertens, Bijsmans and Everett. A midfield 3 then of Kuipers, Hermans and Pushtai. On one wing, Bosteels, on the others, Reinders, and then Konijnenberg in that striker position. What do we expect to see then from OH Leuven? What did we learn from the game in the league phase that perhaps will indicate how they're going to approach the game this evening?
I think that in that league phase game, they were very open. They allowed Arsenal to at times just to walk through them, and that will be their main concern tonight, is to stop that happening. And that was fine for that to happen in the league phase. OH Leuven were in a good position. They were going up against an Arsenal side where they knew they were the underdogs, and at the end of the day, if they lost that match, it didn't really impact them too much as to where they got through to this stage. But this is different. This is knockout football. Got to be better defensively. Defensively solid. Box defending has to be really strong. Obviously, they scored an own goal in that league phase game. Errors like that can't happen tonight for Leuven. They've got to be solid. Got to talk to each other, and that 18-yard box has got to be guarded well. If they can stop Arsenal from creating good chances in and around the penalty area, then it's either going to take a piece of brilliance from an Arsenal player, or Leuven will count this game and not concede very many, if any. So defensively solid for Leuven. If they can get Arsenal on the counter, maybe they can look to open the game up a bit. But I think the main objective for Leuven tonight has to be to get to London next week and still be in the tie. There's no point turning up in that second leg if they're 3 or 4-0 down. The home advantage tonight, they've got to use that, and they've got to keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, I think what does give me some belief that this can be competitive tonight is that Leuven were actually very good defensively in most of their league phase games. Outside that game against Arsenal, they lost 3-0 to Barcelona, but they didn't concede more than 1 goal in any other match. So I think there is some belief there that they can get through this game. And especially at home, they should be hoping this can be a good defensive display. Now, as I say, that game against Arsenal was a 3-0 loss, and that game was at home. So that doesn't show up great there for OH Leuven. But it also got to be considered that Arsenal had to win that game, and Leuven didn't really need to. Yes, Leuven were on the bubble, but they felt that they could get away without winning, whereas obviously Arsenal were pushing to try and be in the top 4. And yeah, perhaps that plays an impact. Today's a lot different. It's a knockout game. The pressure's a little bit higher on Arsenal, I would say, than it is on Leuven. No one's expecting much from Leuven this evening. If they can take that belief and momentum and they can put pressure the other direction onto Arsenal, then I think it strengthens their chances. But there's no doubting tonight that they're massively up against it. Relative minnows at this stage of the competition. Let's take a look then at the Arsenal team. The travelling Gunners going for a 4-2-3-1. In goal, it's Daphne van Domselaar back from injury. In the back four, Fox, Williamson, Cadena and McCabe. In the pivot, Palova is alongside Mariona Cardente with Marnham in the 10 role. On one side, Chloe Kelly returns to the starting lineup. On the other, it's Caitlin Ford, and leading the line, Olivia Smith. Big bit of rotation there from Arsenal. I think the most important one, though, is Alessia Russo dropping out of the side. It's very rare we see Arsenal drop Russo. Does that show how much faith they've got tonight that they'll be comfortable against Leuven?
Exactly that. As you say, we haven't seen Alessia Russo dropped for a long time, especially under Renee Slagers. So it's intriguing to see that, but I think they back the quality they've already got on the pitch. Olivia Smith leading the line against Man City at the weekend. Clearly, Renee Slagers backs her to come in and do the same job here, which I find interesting because it's going to be a very different game plan today. So, Smith thrived in the City game because there was space in behind and she could, win that foot race. But with if Leuven sit as deep as we expect them to, I really struggle to see where Smith is going to be effective. So that's an interesting call. I understand wanting to rotate Russo, but that will be interesting to see how that plays out. But across the board, quite a bit of rotation from back to front. I think it makes sense from Slagers. It's a game they should be winning. It's a game that they should be comfortable in. So I can understand why she hasn't picked the strongest side.
Yeah, absolutely. I think as much as there's not that space in behind the Leuven back line, there's going to be gaps that they can exploit. They can pull that Leuven defence apart, as we saw when these two sides met earlier in the competition. So, yeah, while there is that slight concern that there won't be that space in behind, I have no doubt that Olivia Smith will still have a huge impact. She was instrumental back in that game in December as well. So, yeah, I think that they will... Arsenal should be looking at this as a comfortable victory. Leuven will put up a fight, but I think it's going to be difficult to see anything other than Arsenal than getting it over, especially with the two legs, of course. It does make it easier for Arsenal. If they do have a mare tonight, which I don't expect they will, but if they do, they've got that second leg next week at Meadow Park to make up for it. Shadow, welcome to the stream. Says, hey lads, how are you both doing today? Doing great. Excited to get back into some Champions League action. It is nice to be moving into the knockout stage. I think while this tie will likely be very one-sided, those other three, I think, are much more difficult to call, Harry.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's one of those where, although we've seen obviously we've already seen Real Madrid, Paris FC, and we've seen Atletico Madrid, Manchester United. They were both really close games. United only winning, by a goal to nil. Real Madrid and Paris FC drawing. So we didn't learn too much from them. So yeah, I look at those other three ties across tonight and tomorrow, and they're going to be extremely close. Even this one, I think Leuven could potentially push Arsenal close for the first half, get through the 5-10 minute stages, try and keep it as competitive as possible. But yeah, I think we've got some really exciting matchups in this in this round. It's exactly why the round was put in, to give us more action, to give us more excitement, to kind of test the bigger sides even further and to prove why they are the best of the best. So yeah, I think it's I'm really looking for 4 extra ties, and I think they're all going to be very, very good contests.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for Leuven tonight. It's one of those where we always say it, but you want to break that game down to blocks. You want to have those 10-minute blocks where you get through the first 10 minutes, you get through the next 10 minutes, you see how deep in this game you can go. And the game goes in Leuven's favour the longer it lasts. With it a deadlock, it starts to become possible that Leuven can get a result. If Arsenal score early, the tie's done early on, and I think that will be a real shame. So, yeah, if Leuven can keep it tight, I think it keeps it interesting. But it's in Arsenal's hands. They're a side who we know on their day can play some really nice football. They've picked up some big results recently, but there's still doubts over their ability to tear apart teams like Leuven, where they've got a lot of the ball. They're often quite slow, quite static on it. And especially if Leuven are going to drop deep tonight, what's going to be really interesting is how Arsenal pull apart that low block. Now, they were great at capitalising on Leuven mistakes, and actually players jumping up and leaving gaps is perfect for Arsenal. So if Leuven are a little bit rash, are a little ill-disciplined, Arsenal will capitalise on that fully. The question will come is if Leuven nail the setup tonight and are very good in those defensive areas, do Arsenal have those tricks in the arsenal to, for lack of a better word, to pull that defence apart, to create space in there? That remains to be seen. I think they've got the quality, though, the individuals, to get them through, even if Leuven are making life really difficult. But it will be interesting to see whether Slagers does have the tactical solutions to get through those kind of moments. But they've got the quality. I wouldn't be too concerned if I was an Arsenal fan tonight. It should be comfortable. I think it'll be one of those where they'll be happy to see the rotation, especially with Arsenal's fixture schedule being very heavy at the moment. The only way in which you regret it is if this doesn't go to plan this evening, and then next week's game is one of much more importance. But it shouldn't really go that way for Arsenal.
No, it shouldn't at all. I think the only other, not worry, but the only other question I would have is over the centre half pairing. Obviously, brilliant to see the return of Leah Williamson and Kadina as well to get a start. But I mean, I'm sure someone might know, but when was the last time we saw those two start together? It has been a while since we've seen a Kadina Williamson, but a centre half pairing. So it'll be interesting how they get on. Of course, they're teammates, but it's different when you're out there, when you haven't played for a while, and you've got to get it right from minute one. So if Leuven can try and put a bit of pressure onto that centre half pairing, make them think it's been a while since they've both started in a fixture of this importance. So maybe that's something Leuven can look to pry on. But apart from that, I don't see too many weaknesses in terms of Leuven being able to hurt Arsenal in defensive areas.
I think they played 6 minutes together against Aston Villa, if that counts.
That's quite a bit of a short cameo, but they did do that. So
no, not even then. Kadina came onto the field, but yeah, for Kadina tonight, what will be interesting is we've not really seen her at centre back recently. She's been subbed on the most recent games in defence midfield, so a little bit of a shift of role for her this evening. But again, a role she should have no issues adapting to. Players out onto the field then, so let's get into predictions. If you're watching along to the live show, get involved in the live chat and let us know your scoreline predictions. We're going to kick things off here in the studio though, and we'll start with yourself, Harry. What is your prediction for today's game?
I think I'm gonna stick with what I said on the predictions video. I think that it will be a tight game. I think Leuven will put up a very, very good fight. So I will say 1-0 to Arsenal. I still think the Gunners will win, but it's going to be a game where we they walk off the pitch and we take our hat off to Leuven because it's going to be defensively solid. I think they've got it in them to keep it defensively secure and make it difficult. And as long as that deadlock isn't broken early doors, I think even if they concede one, they'll still manage to hold that standard. So I'm going to say 1-0 Arsenal, and I think it will be a goal for Olivia Smith once again to maybe get a good run, get a bit of a run going. But I think it'll be a close game. That only shifts depending on when the goal comes. But if Leuven can make it through the first half, then I think it will be. No matter what happens, it will end close. But the biggest kryptonite in these kind of games is when the bigger side has a spell of 30 minutes where they score 4 goals and the game's over. But I think Leuven will keep it tight. I'll say 1-0 to Arsenal.
Fair enough. I will say Leuven 1, Arsenal 2. I'm going to stick with the prediction I gave on the preview. I think it will be a game where Leuven will be a lot better than they were in the game back in December. I think they'll be much better defensively, much tighter defensively. But I still think Arsenal will have it fairly comfortably. I think it'll be the usual case for Arsenal, though, where they've got a lot of the ball, a lot of the chances, don't take enough of them and don't really put Leuven to the sword. And yeah, I want to see a Leuven goal. I want to see something a little bit different this evening. So yeah, I'll say 2-1 Arsenal. I will say a goal from Kaneinenberg for Leuven. I think if they're going to hurt Arsenal, it will be getting Kaneinenberg in behind the centre half, particularly if she can make runs to the right-hand side for Leuven or Arsenal's left-hand side. Because I think with Kadina there, and McCabe. With McCabe, she likes to press up really high. And if you can catch Arsenal when McCabe presses, Catley's usually really good at getting out wide. And I do have a slight fear about Kadina trying to get wide and perhaps being able then to open up a little bit of space. So, yeah, I think if they can target that one weakness in the Arsenal defence, or that specific weakness in the Arsenal defence, I think there's an opportunity there for Leuven. I think they will be able to target that at least once tonight. I think Kaneinenberg will score. I'll say actually Leuven to take the lead and Arsenal then to come back. I think it'll be a brace from Olivia Smith, actually. Or I don't know, so I'll go goal for Olivia Smith, goal for Mariona Caldente.
Like it, yeah. I think that a goal for Leuven tonight would be incredible. Of course, they want to win the tie. Of course, they'd love to get through and be in the quarterfinals, but they know realistically it's going to be difficult. But if they can give the home fans something to cheer, put up a good performance, represent themselves and their country well, and take the game to the reigning Champions League winners, I think that would be big for them. So tonight, for Leuven. Of course, they'd like to win the game, but if they can take the game, and even if they lose, if they can walk off with a performance that they're proud of, that will be the main thing. If they turn up and roll over and allow Arsenal to dominate them and put loads of, score quite a few, they don't want that tonight. That's what Arsenal want to kill this game off in 90 minutes. Second leg, they can rest up, no stress whatsoever, and they won't have a problem. But it's Leuven's job to make sure that we're turning up next week, and they arrive away for the second leg and they're still in this contest.
Yeah, and that's the thing for Leuven. Getting to this stage in the competition in of itself is a successful tournament for them. I think we came in with low expectations, thinking they'd be similar to SK and St Polten, a side who've really struggled in this competition in recent years. But they've come in and been super competitive. They absolutely deserve to be at this stage of the competition. If they go any further, that would be absolutely incredible. And to be fair, Elena Demetrescu is the referee, so you never know what could happen. Maybe they can get the right side of her decisions, and Leuven could get a result here. But it is going to be the kickoff here, waiting for Demetrescu's whistle here at the King Power in Belgium. It is Leuven who will get us started. Konijnenberg knocks it back, and we're underway here for OH Leuven, taking on Arsenal, the first of 4 knockout playoff round first leg fixtures over tonight and tomorrow night. Ball going long early on. McCabe able to win back possession, bounces it off Caldente. Now looking to go to the right-hand side, Williamson. Knocks it wide. Fox holding the width well, needs some support. Kelly dropping in. Big game as well for Chloe Kelly. Missed a lot of football recently through injury, but this is a good game for her to build sharpness, but also perhaps build confidence in her game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that not only is it's weaker opposition, but it's a player that really shone on this stage. On the way to Arsenal winning it last season.
Kelly now into Fox, looks to cut it back, blocked well by Everett. Falls back again for Kelly, ball into the area, headed away well by Mertens, bouncing around in the box, and that's hooked away well by Hermans. And Leuven dealing with that early threat, but Arsenal there combining well in the wide right area, and Leuven not able to prevent them.
Yeah, again, that's exactly what Arsenal got to do, try and drag them out. Leuven didn't react to that initially, but the box defending was better. The first contact with the head was a Leuven player. The second ball latched onto by a white shirt. That's exactly what they've got to do this evening. That box defending's got to be solid, but they've also got to be careful that they don't allow Arsenal to combine in wide areas like they did there.
Yeah, Demetrescu already making a mark on the game there, discussing with Marnham and Biesmans about pushing off the ball. Williams back now into Cadena. But it's going to be interesting to see Arsenal. Marnham, another player who hasn't played loads recently. If she can, what we're seeing already is that her and Smith seems to be exchanging positions. And I think if they can get Marnham in there, that's going to give them the height and the physical presence that perhaps you don't get from Olivia Smith. Ford back inside to Caldente. Now McCabe. Caldente turns out looking for a forward pass, carries the ball forward well. Mariona Caldente knocks it down the line. Ford now up against the fullback. Hermans getting back in there well. Marnham ball across the box. No issue there for the goalkeeper. Claiming that one well. And the goalkeeper, Seinhaver, really important in that last game. Made a load of saves despite it being a 3-0 scoreline. You feel she's going to have to be even more important if Leuven are to get anything from tonight's fixture. Ball into midfield, picked off there by Palova. Nice exchange there between Mariona Caldente and Victoria Palova. Now Ford wants to shift inside. Marnham carries it well. Ball into the box. Headed away convincingly by Biesmans. But Arsenal keeping the pressure up here. McCabe goes back into Williamson. And that'll allow Leuven to take their shape once again. Caldente. Williamson. Back across to Le Cadena. Now Caldente. Nowhere really for her to go with that one. Plays it forwards now into Marnham, who turns out well. Knocking it wide into Caitlin Ford. Back towards the continued run of Frida Marnham. That's seen out of play really well, though, by Mertens.
Yeah, another good piece of defending. A little bit overhit on the through ball towards Marnham. And Mertens just reads it well. Decision making giving another key point for Leuven, but already in this game we're seeing that the home side are going to be under a lot of pressure for the majority of the 90 minutes here, and they'll do very well to withstand it.
Ball bouncing through the middle here, and Konijnenberg couldn't quite get there, but it did make the Arsenal centre halves think for a moment. Ford into Smith, and that's one back well in there, and Mertens now back to her goalkeeper.
Yeah, the only concern for Arsenal tonight will be is that in these kind of games where you're playing against a side who are going to sit deep and are going to sit off, you want to have a fast start and try and get ahead early.
Well, speaking of fast starts, ball nodded on there by Marnham. Picked off well in there by Biesmans. One back now by Mertens in midfield. Kneinenberg holds on to it brilliantly. Now knocks it wide. Bostiel's needing support. And going backwards into Janssen. And Biesmans going back to a goalkeeper. And here, Seinhaver looking for options. Going to go long again. Looking to be direct early on here. Kadina heads it away. Kneinenberg pouncing on the loose ball. And Williamson able there to deal with the danger. As Leuven did look to come forwards. Ford, nice drive inside. Loses out though to Hermans. Here's Everett. Now knocks it wide. Bastiles. Back to Everett. Needing support now though. And that's back to Bastiles. Everett through the line. Can't quite pull off that pass. Kadina able to intercept well. Here's McCabe. Knocks it down the line. Ford holding well on the touchline. Back into Katie McCabe. First 5 minutes, though, really been all Arsenal. Leuven trying to come forwards, but not quite able to make the ball stick up there.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're trying to get the ball down and play when they do have it, rather than just going long and giving it straight back to Arsenal. I like the commitment there to trying to compete, but we know Arsenal are going to have a lot of the ball, and I think the Kneinenberg's hold-up play is going to be crucial for just to resist. It's almost resisting the pressure rather than Leuven trying to come forwards themselves.
Well, she's a very physical forward, Kneinenberg, and if she can hold that up, we can see already Leuven are trying to get players around her quickly to perhaps combine. It's not quite come off yet, but you do think she's got that physical advantage over the likes of Williamson and Kadina, and they win the ball high here to Leuven. That's a poor pass across, though. Pounced on quickly by Janssen, unable to make it work, though, and now Arsenal playing out towards the left-hand side. Mariona Caldente carrying the ball wide. Ford on the touchline. Everett's out to it quickly. And that's a strong tackle.
Yeah, it's a good start by both. It's exactly how we expected it to go. But Leuven will be impressed. We spoke about breaking the game down. We spoke about just getting through periods. That's the first 5 minutes done.
Here's Marnham. Receives it well in the half space. Pass across to Kelly. Puts it through the legs of Janssen. But Biesman's on hand to knock that one away. And with quite some confidence, and that is absolutely launched up the pitch. Williamson tracking back to recover it. But Arsenal able to quickly get back into the Leuven half. McCabe plays it forward into Marnham, back into Mariona Caldente. Kelly now, who's come inside. Back to Caldente, through the lines to Palova, who goes wider into Fox. And she makes something happen. Janssen trying to stand her up. Fox with nowhere to go. Kelly now offers support. And it's back into Williamson. Lifting it over the top, and that's headed down. Kelly jostling for possession. One back well in there by Reinders. Cleared forwards. And Biesman's across to win the header. One back well by Reinders. Pokes it forward. Hermans looking wide now. Able to find Bastiles. Can she pick out a forward pass? Plays it across now. Here's Pushdai. Just lifting it over the top. And it's Janssen, the fullback, who's high here. Wants to take on Williamson, who will get there, but can't keep it in play. That's a much better move from OH Leuven.
Yeah, again, exactly what they need to do. Shifted it well there. And if they can keep that ball moving, they can spring quickly when they turn it over. Don't allow Arsenal to reset, and they can try and get some yards. But again, it's of course they want to score, but as long as the ball's in the Arsenal penalty area, they can't score from there.
Yeah, Kadina clearing it away. I think the game was paused there as there was a head injury, but doesn't appear to be anything wrong actually with Pushdai. It's just a little bit messy in there, but nothing wrong with the challenge.
No. They'll be happy. But this is what I was a little bit concerned about of Arsenal, is that, of course, these games are a good opportunity to rotate, but you also want to start fast to avoid letting the opposition set in. But when you rotate, we mentioned at the start, Arsenal got quite a few players who haven't started in a while, haven't had too many minutes this season. They're going to take time to get going and get into gear. You can see Kelly on her return, just a couple of loose touches. Same with Williamson there. She stepped in and made the interception, but then couldn't quite keep it on the pitch. Just things like that. It's going to take Arsenal time to get going, but that's going to play into Leuven's hands.
Yeah, absolutely. McCabe wants to drive inside. Back to Cadena. Now Caldente. Wide into Ford. Back to Caldente. McCabe. Marnham. Back to Cadena. I'm a little surprised that they've gone. I understand in terms of why you play Emily Fox for the defensive side of the game, but I wonder if they could have been a little more aggressive and played Smila Holmberg. There's a few times now where Fox is getting on the ball up there in a very high position, where I think if that was Holmberg, would probably offer a little bit more threat. Ball long here for Smith. Merton stands her up well. Smith knocks it into her and wins her side of throwing. I mean, I think Fox is a good defender. I just think Holmberg's defensive or attacking side, is slightly stronger. Played short into Kelly. Back to Fox. Now Williamson. Floating the ball in there. Nodded on well by Beesmans. Drops now for Ford. Headed away. Everett's only able to get it out to Mariona Caldente, though. Caldente lays it into Caitlin Ford. Plays it inside. Brought down well in there by Fox. Now Smith. No one able to create the space for the shot. Here's Caldente. Back now to McCabe. And here's Ford. Inside to Caldente. Palova. Caldente. Here's Leah Williamson. Nowhere ready to go. That's a misplaced pass. And Cadena will have to bust her gut to get there. Kaneinenberg puts her under pressure. And Arsenal forced backwards there. A bit of a hospital ball back. But Van Dumpster are able to claim it. And then that is given, I believe, as a throw-in. That will give Arsenal a little bit of respite there, but a bit messy. And Leuven tried to capitalise. They went aggressive with the press and almost managed to win the ball high at the pitch there.
Yes, exactly what I'm talking about Arsenal players, who are returning, gonna take time to get the sharpness. Leah Williamson, that's a 10-yard pass to her centre half partnership, and she just overhit it massively, and it allows Leuven to get up. Because there are opportunities there, and this is why it's going to be difficult for Arsenal tonight. Karen Tay was stood on the ball, probably 15 yards from goal, but there were so many players between her and the net. There was just nothing she could do with it apart from go backwards.
Yeah, and this is where I said, Arsenal are going to have all the ball. They're going to be dominant, but the reason I said Leuven will win, or will be 1-0 going into half-time, is because we're watching the first 11 minutes here. Arsenal haven't had a shot. Yeah, 77% of the ball is fantastic. They're dominating the ball. Not only that, but they're also dominating in terms of territory. They've been in the Leuven half pretty much the entire game. But they haven't even taken a shot yet, let alone create something clear-cut. So I think once Leuven tire, the space will open up a little bit more. But at the moment, Arsenal are just struggling to get those shots away at goal. Palova wins the header then in midfield. Everett looking to play it in behind for Bastiles. And McCabe, a little bit of a messy situation here as she can't quite deal with the ball, but Steele's putting her under pressure. Back now to Cadena. Here's Ford, and it's one high at the pitch here by Everett, put into the box, blocked by McCabe, and that's a Leuven throw.
There's intensity to Leuven's play, and it's really good to see that they're being brave. Of course, they're still playing very defensive, but they're judging when to step up and when to drop off really well. And it's nice to see them engaging with Arsenal high up the pitch.
Yeah, foul in there on Palova. Advantage played, though, as Marnham has the ball. Now Caldente wriggling her way deeper into the field. Now looks to hit it in behind, and that's got too much on it for Caitlin Ford to get there.
Yeah, you mentioned Arsenal had a shot in 11 minutes, but it only feels like a moment ago that I mentioned that Leuven had got through the first 5 minutes. Suddenly, they've doubled that, and that's exactly what they're trying to do. They want this game to go by as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Palova winning the header. Everett's clearing it into a teammate there, but then clearing it into McCabe and does win a throw-in. Slight miscommunication there, but Leuven getting away with it.
Yeah, clearing it wasn't very good, and then for good measure, she cleared it into her teammate's arm, but got away with one and managed to turn a throw out of it.
Everett's going down the line, and Bastile's not able to get there. Here's Cadena. And Arsenal will slow and just allow Leuven to get back into shape. Williamson. Now Cadena. And it's back with Katie McCabe, who wants to carry the ball forwards. Ford. Everett there does well, jumping on her quickly, forces forward backwards. Now Gardente, McCabe taking it wide, give and go with Marnham, and that's really smart defending there. And a late call from Demetrescu, but probably the right decision.
Yeah, it's. I think Leuven will be frustrated by it because she doesn't do too much wrong, but she doesn't move. She just blocks off McCabe's run, which is it's not a bad thing to do at this point in the game. She knew McCabe had her.
I think it's a soft one though, because McCabe can run around her, but McCabe is very happy to not do that and run into her, knowing she's going to get a free kick. I don't think I understand why McCabe's done that because that is going to get given, but McCabe's looking for the free kick there. I think that was easily avoidable.
Yeah, I don't. As long as Leuven now clear this free kick, I don't think they'll mind that because McCabe had put the afterburners on and she would have been clear to cross the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. But equally, I think Leuven are happy to receive crosses tonight. I think they'll back that they've got the height in there to be able to deal with those situations. It will be where Arsenal are able to create situations or create opportunities in and around that zone 14. That's where they'll be threatening.
Yeah.
Cross now, though, for Arsenal. No, the Disney Plus cameraman does not want to show us the game. And it's a free kick from this wide area. Chloe Kelly, the player to take, just lifting it into the box, but that's straight onto the goalkeeper. And no issue there for Seinhaver.
Seinhaver will hope for that kind of delivery all night.
Yeah. Happy to claim those kind of crosses. Phil, welcome to the stream this evening all. And as a few people mentioned in the live chat, the game is exclusively on Disney Plus. So if you are able to watch the game on Disney Plus, then feel free to watch along with us. And if you're not able to, then hopefully we can at least keep you updated with the game throughout. Ball inside to Olivia Smith, who is able to hold on to the ball well, carrying it wide now, shifts it into Caitlin Ford on the right-hand side. Smith now, back to Caldente. And Arsenal have just swapped their wingers now. I don't know if that is just momentary, whether they have, whether Ford and Kelly have swapped. Caldente. Now into Emily Fox, trying to create space for the delivery now. Does do really well there to get around Mertens. Cleared away, though, well by Biesmans, and now held up by Kaneinenberg. And Pushdai just getting that one clear. And not able quite to hold on to it. Here's Kaneinenberg, though, knocks it wide. But around the corner by Bastiles. Everett can't quite get there. Now able, though, to pick up the ball. Bastiles. They want to be direct here. Knocks it down the line. And, well, that was poorly timed by Kuipers.
Yeah, Kuipers should be frustrated there. And I think her teammates will be with her too because the space she's taking up is really good. But she's just a couple yards at least offside. And she doesn't need to be.
Just gets carried away there. Isn't watching the line at all. It just seems to just drift into that offside position. Almost absent-mindedly. McCabe. Now Cadena. Looking again, trying to probe for that forward pass. Williamson plays it through the lines. That's brilliant defending there from Biesmans, who steps up nicely. Kuipers feeds it through the lines. Bastiles here, one-on-one with McCabe. Needs support here. Kaneinenberg making the run towards the right-hand side. Here is Kaneinenberg lifting it there towards the back post and not able to find the target. But who would have thought the third shot in the game would go the way of Leuven?
Yeah, not many. Another great move by the home side, who are putting up a very, very good first 15 minutes here. Lovely little breakaway. It's really good from Bastiles. The delaying is solid because McCabe can't commit there. If she jumps up, she'll allow Bastiles to take it round her. Good hold-up play from the winger and just allows Kaneinenberg to come round on the side. Should she take the shot on from that angle? Probably not, but I don't think they'll mind that too much.
Ball in from Mariona Calente. Chance here for Caitlin Ford, and that's a shot on target. I'm not sure how much Ford knew about it or the direction it was going in, but it is a shot on target. Saved well by Seinhaver.
Yeah, good response from Arsenal. Conceding a shot and then getting right back up the other end and trying to make things happen. But yeah, Ford not meaning to send that one goal. I think bounced off her thigh. In the end there and a comfortable save.
But the movement created it and created that opportunity in this game. He's just starting to open up a little bit more. Ball through the lines now. Looking for the run of Kuipers. That will be recovered well though by Fox. Exactly what you'd expect from Emily Fox. No issues recollecting that ball. Cadena. Looking to play forwards, and it's a strong bench tonight for Arsenal as they pan to Ruben Moy, Cooney Cross, and Alessia Russo all sat together. Steph Catley as well in the background. Cadena. Now McCabe. Back to Van Domselaar. Williamson. Mariona Caldente. Looks out to the left-hand side. Kelly. Holding the ball on the touchline. And now Cadena. McCabe. Marnham. Arsenal still trying to break down this Leuven backline. Cadena. Ball long there from Williamson. Great pinpoint switch of the play into Katie McCabe, who tries to take on Everett. Doesn't do well, but does manage to get past her. Ball across the box now. And that's brilliant work in there from the recovering Hairmans. Everett was a little unlucky not to come away with that ball. Kuipers dragged down in there. And that should surely be a yellow card for Emily Fox. And it will be. I don't think she can have any complaints there. Was not able to keep up with Reinders. And she ran away, just pulled her down.
Yeah. Of easy yellow card. Demetrescu, I think, got it out of her pocket before she'd even blown the whistle there. But again, another good example. Straight in there. But another good example of Leuven dealing with that ball. Again, good box defending. And then they managed to just, shift it quickly and get out at Arsenal. And that's not what the Gunners will want. Emily Fox is so good at those recoveries, but now she's on a yellow card. She'll have to be careful for any more breakaways.
Yeah, and as you say there, not one for hesitation is Elena Demetrescu. Very happy to get out the cards, as we've seen in the past. Leuven on the ball now. Everett. They're going to lift it in behind, and that will trickle on through to the Arsenal goalkeeper, Van Domselaar. And Arsenal looking to play forwards once again. Pull over out towards the right-hand side. Fox goes down the line. Touched inside by Ford. And Pullover now goes back down the line. Ford breaking down the right-hand side. Has the support of Victoria Pullover, who does now receive the ball. Ball floated in towards the back post. Everett clears it away. Williamson. Caldente. Now Williamson. Fox. Wider to Ford, who wants to take on the fullback now. Does well initially to get around her. Ball into the area. Marnham heads towards goal. And the goalkeeper unable to stop it. Leuven 0, Arsenal 1. Frida Marnham with the final touch in there. Trickles across the goal line. Steinhaver tried to get down to it, but wasn't able to generate enough power with the hand to keep it out. She's frustrated. It was a fairly calm ball into the box, just nudged home really by Frida Marnham.
Yeah, again, we spoke about the box defending from Leuven and to be sharp and a resolute 20 minutes, but this is a very soft goal to concede. It's good from Caitlin Ford bursting in. Marnham with a little flick on was all it needed. There's no pace on that though whatsoever, and Leuven, that'll be a disappointing one to concede, but much better from Ford. Direct, gets into the penalty area, so lovely little chip ball in. Marnham glances it on, but at that pace, someone in a Leuven shirt's got to deal with it.
Yeah, it's weak defending from Beesmans. Gets the wrong side of Frida Marnham and just makes little attempt to get in front of the ball. And then, as you say, Steinhaver should do a lot better there between the sticks. And now Arsenal seem to have the bit between their teeth. Throwing on the far side. Fox looks forward. Held up well by Marnham. Back towards Emily Fox. Looks to just play it in behind. Smith making the run off the shoulder. Nowhere to go, though, and runs that out of play.
Yeah, massive now. Massive kind of 5-10 minute period in this tie. We see it quite often where the underdog will concede one goal and then they'll have a 10-minute collapse where they concede two more and suddenly they're out of the game. Very important now that Leuven dig in and make sure that Arsenal don't increase their lead. For the Gunners, they've got to try and pounce and take advantage while they are on top. They've got that goal, use it as momentum and go and get a couple more to kill this game off.
Absolutely. Leuven will be very vulnerable just after conceding. Arsenal will be hoping to take full effect of that. Cadena into Mariona Caldente. Plays it forwards to Smith now. Nowhere to go again, though. Looking now for support. Caldente bouncing the pass back into the referee. That will be an Arsenal drop ball, which Cadena is in a hurry to take. But Demetrescu dropping to Caldente. McCabe. Now into Ford, back to McCabe. Plays it to Smith, who holds up the ball really well in there, but does lose the second challenge to Everett. And now OH Leuven in possession. Lifted to the left-hand side. And that's an easy win in there from Fox. Neither player, Reinders or Janssen, made any attempt. And Fox now looking to take on Janssen. Janssen committing a fairly egregious foul as Fox burst past her. And I think this could be the second caution of the evening. All right, referee happy to keep the cards in our pockets for now. Just a free kick.
Yeah, might get away with it, but Leuven are looking really vulnerable here, and Arsenal are trying to take full advantage. Just diving in, it's rash. They're struggling to keep up with Arsenal at the moment.
Struggling to keep up with Fox, really. Yeah. A player who's so good at carrying the ball, and as we've seen, it is a really strong crosser as well. And it's a bit of a problem for Leuven at the moment. They're getting doubled up on that side, and since we've seen Ford, what Ford is quite good at is holding the width, and it's stretching that back line, and it's allowing then Fox to make that inverted run or make that inside run. So she's often driving into the half space, and no one from Leuven is picking her up at the moment. Or vice versa, Ford can come inside, and Fox is good at holding the width. So, yeah, they're just doubling up there, and Leuven aren't dropping in quick enough, really. I think Reinders has got to have a little bit more defensive responsibility in there. And a free kick now for Arsenal. Swung in towards the front post. Kaneinenberg heading away. Her man stops it going from a corner. Reinders tries to get ahead to it. Kelly. As Arsenal regain possession. Back now with Fox on the halfway line. Knocks it wide. And there's so much time and space here for Katie McCabe. Slips it in behind to Frida Marnham, who's looking for support. Really good defending there, though, to force her back from Hermans. Ball in from Katie McCabe. Well drilled. Headed away, though, convincingly this time by Mertens. And then hooked clear by Bastiles. Caldente. Slipping it into Olivia Smith. Smith holds it up. Looking to turn out. Finds Palova. Wide now. With Kelly on the right-hand side. Looking to take on Janssen. Ball in. Cleared away again. Kept alive by Williamson. Cadena. Back to Williamson. Palova. Kelly at full stretch, unable to keep that in her grasp. And Janssen now moving it the other way for OH Leuven. Needs a forward pass. Wants to go backwards into Biesmans. And now launching it forward. Unable, though, to find the target of Kaneinenberg. As Arsenal win it back again. Fox. Kelly flicks on to Marnham. Marnham through the lines looking for Smith. One back by Biesmans, but that will trickle out for an Arsenal corner and allow them to keep the pressure on.
Yeah, this is a good period, good spell by Arsenal. They've scored that goal and they're trying to really take advantage. The pace of the game was just increased a little bit. They're moving it much nicer and making things more and more difficult for OH Leuven.
It's something we saw on Sunday is the intensity is there again for Arsenal. It's something we wondered whether it would just be there for the City game, which is obviously a very different match compared to something like this game against Leuven. But there is an intensity. They are moving the ball a lot quicker in the final third. There are still phases where I think they could move it a bit quicker. They could take a few more risks, but equally they've not really given anything up tonight. So perhaps that to try and control the game in that way is working quite nicely. Corner now delivered towards the back post. Williamson heading up in the air, and that will be no trouble to the goalkeeper as it goes wide.
Yeah, not quite what she wanted from the routine. Got it exactly where she asked for it. From McCabe, but couldn't quite execute the header.
And it just ended up on top of her, really. It's difficult for her to come onto it and generate any power or direction. Leuven go long. Kaneinenberg trying to hold up the ball. Cadena heading it on. Caldente going long. A bit of a miscommunication, but Everett's able to get it clear. Bastiles beats McCabe initially. Kaneinenberg now in support. Plays it inside to Kuipers. Back towards Bastiles, who wants to take on McCabe, and McCabe knocking it out of play, but that will be a Leuven throw.
Again, good reaction by Leuven, still trying to be positive. They've not conceded one and are now just trying to sit on their goal line and hope for the best. They're still trying to be positive, still trying to come at Arsenal when they get the opportunity to.
I think it's a credit to the management. I think they're set up really well, this Leuven side. It's just quite apparent the quality isn't to the same level as a team like Arsenal. But, you know, when they play against... It's the reason they got through the group stage, because they're really well... Or the league phase, I should say. Because they're really well set up. And so when they play teams like PSG, who are so wasteful, and teams like Roma, they were able to get results. And then they were considerably better than some of their pot 3 opponents. They beat FC Twente 2-1, and Twente are regulars of the Champions League. So, yeah, they've been set up so well throughout this tournament. Absolute credit to the management on that one.
Yeah, it's always one of those where you just think, what if they had got a different draw in this knockout playoff tie?
I think anyone at this stage of the competition, it is very difficult.
They are difficult, but I'd give Leuven a much better chance against Paris FC than I would against Arsenal. You know, I think that would be a much closer game, a much closer tie than these two legs will be.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I mean, marginally, I think Paris FC is still a very difficult game for Leuven.
We'll see how Paris FC get on later.
Well, I think they're gonna. I've got a great feeling they're gonna beat Real Madrid.
The thing is, Real Madrid, you never know. They always surprise you.
Caldente through to Marnham. Back towards Ford. Can she put the ball into the area? Good defending there from Everett, and Ford knocking it out of play. Ford not happy with that decision. And I wonder if we'll see a replay on that one. I think it's one of those where there's a bit of a trip afterwards, so it's easier just to give the goal kick than a free kick. I mean, it's a right decision as well.
Yeah.
Ford complains, but that is great refereeing from Elena Demetrescu. Carrying the ball forwards now is Janssen, driving inside with it, looking dangerous actually. There's Kelly. That takes a few bites at trying to win the ball off her, unable to do so. Ball forwards now from Biesmans, who bounces it back towards Mertens and almost gives possession back to Olivia Smith there. Having one hell of an assist. Ball in behind. Nice movement there from Janssen, who's done well to get high in this game, but Fox able to win the ball back. Hooked forwards by Williamson, pounced on well by Kuipers. And now it's Janssen again. Pushtai has dropped deep. Hermans now breaks through the lines. Janssen. Nice drag back to get away from Palova. Hermans. Moving it across the back line now. Mertens. Biesmans. Here's Hermans. What can they do now in the final third? Leuven. Putting the ball into the box. Einenberg can't get there, and Cadena clearing it away, and Arsenal can use the space now. Caldente into Ford, who touches on it well. Now looking to find Smith. Feeds it into Olivia Smith, takes aim, and it's saved well by Seinhaver. Nice move from Arsenal, just not quite ruthless enough there.
Yeah, again, they sprung forwards nicely. Ford, right decision to play it into Olivia Smith, and I don't mind the dummy, but had to drive more power through the strike. The dummy was the right decision, but when she shifted it from her left foot to her right foot, she didn't get it out far enough. The touch was still very much tucked under her body, and she just couldn't drive enough force through that right foot. But Leuven had made a bit of a mess of it and ended up giving away a corner from trying to play out.
It's not the first time that Leuven have given away a corner quite deliberately. It feels like something that is quite easily avoidable, and it's just putting them under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Yogo asking, is Fox playing? Yes, Emily Fox does start. And has been instrumental, actually, in the opening 32 minutes. The catalyst for all of Arsenal's best attacks, really. Arsenal now with this corner. What can they do to threaten? Haven't been known for their set-piece deliveries. McCabe lays it in there, and Marnham there getting it mixed up, getting her feet crossed up and unable there to do anything meaningful with it. Fox, Caldente through the lines, and that will trickle through. No issue for the Leuven defence.
Marnham's got to do a lot better there for me. I think she gets caught out because there's a Leuven player in front of her who jumps and misses it, but the corner comes in, it just falls to her unmarked, and she tries to volley it first time, which is the right thing to do. Definitely a first time strike, but just ends up kicking it into her own leg. But yeah, I think she's got to do much better there. Unmarked in the penalty area and didn't even get a shot off towards goal.
Here is Fox. Ball in towards the area, punched away well by Seinhaver. Really good goalkeeping. Now Einenberg holds it up. Palova battling to try and win the ball back. McCabe. Into Caldente. Fox. Marnham. Round the corner to Ford. Cuts it back to Frida Marnham. And that's another big missed opportunity from Frida Marnham. Got that goal early on, but arguably could be on a hat-trick by now.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, brilliant by Ford. Bursting down the right-hand side. It was a good ball in. Great piece of goalkeeping. And the ball's punched away, but they recycle it well. It's Ford again causing problems, but Marnham's got to catch that better. Just drags it wide. Scuffs it almost.
Everett. Pass inside from Bastiles. And that will run through to Palova, who's surveying her options. Now Fox. Williamson. Now towards the right-hand side. Ford holds the width well. Forced backwards here by the press of Janssen. Williamson lifting it over the top. Header won by Biesmans. And great work from Hermans on the second ball, but it's won back in there well by Ford. Here's Mariona Caldente. Lays it into the path of McCabe. Back inside to Marnham. Nice turn in there, but nowhere to go as Merton's able to pick up on that loose ball. That was the right-hand side for Steels. Exchanges nicely with Kuipers, who will look to put this in behind now. And this is a really nice move from Leuven. Opportunity, but it's good defending there from Cadena. Just able to block the run of Hermans. And Williamson gets back in, recovering well.
Yeah, again, positive from Leuven. But Cadena and Williamson working well together. Cadena dealing with the run, Williamson dealing with the ball in behind. And they managed to halt the Leuven attack momentarily. But they're trying to create something again.
Ball through the lines, and Williamson able to pounce on that pass. Locus asking, you're doing a piece on Paul Green leaving. No plan at the moment to do a full video on it, but we'll probably talk about it. I mean, it's pretty easy to talk about. It's a stupid decision. There we go. That was quick and easy. McCabe. Back now to Caldente. Cadena. Here is Leah Williamson. Cadena. Out towards the left-hand side. McCabe driving the ball forwards. Now Kelly. Caldente. Now Frida Marnham. Cadena. Back across into Williamson. Touched on well by McCabe. Marnham lifting it in behind. What can Chloe Kelly make happen now in the final third? Beats the fullback, cuts it back for Smith, and that's a really tidy finish from Olivia Smith, and it's Leuven 0, Arsenal 1. Arsenal 2, sorry. Great move from Arsenal down the left-hand side. The cutback was on point. And that's a really tidy finish from a player in great form at the moment. Olivia Smith, fresh off scoring the winning goal against Manchester City. Tucks home the second for Arsenal in this game.
Yeah, really good move from Arsenal down the left-hand side. There's so much space to exploit, and Marnham just chips it over the top into Kelly. Again, it's a nice move from Kelly. Brilliant run from Smith. The pass is good, but the finish is class from Smith. First time, doesn't try and blast it, doesn't overcomplicate it, makes the movement, gets herself half a yard and just cuts it into the bottom corner. That is a really good finish from Smith.
Yeah, and it's really smart. The ball across from Kelly has a decent amount of pace on it, and it's more redirecting it than anything else there from Olivia Smith. Very composed finish, and Arsenal here able to kick on from that one goal advantage, and they're 2-0 up now away at OH Leuven. Leuven looking to come back, get a goal back in this game, but steals. Back now to Mertens. And now it's with Seinhever. Carrying the ball forward to Biesmans. Wide to Bastiles. Wants to take on McCabe. Can Leuven find a route towards goal? Hermans tries to play it through the lines, but still isn't able to latch onto it. Kneinenberg will put pressure on the ball here. And Van Domslaar choosing the safe option and knocking it out of play.
Yeah, positive intent still at the forefront of Leuven's play. Big 7 minutes now as we approach the half. They can't afford to concede again, but a goal would be massive for them to pull one back in this game.
Konijnenberg through the lines to Kuipers. Ball in from Bastiles, and that's a great claim from Daphne van Domselaar. Cadena. And Arsenal not looking to move the ball particularly quickly. Leuven getting back into their shape quicker. Caldente carries it forwards now. Opens up the space on the left-hand side. McCabe inside to Smith. This is a nice move. Touches towards Freedom Marnham, who can't quite get there. And now Williamson. Out to the right-hand side. Fox knocks it down the line. Kelly looking to get away from Janssen. Janssen uses her body well and holding on to possession. Now where has Janssen got to go? Kelly wins it back, drills it low towards Frida Marnham, cuts it back to Smith, who takes the touch. Nice movement. Olivia Smith takes aim, and that's a great stop. One-handed save from Sinehead, but just able to tip it wide of the post.
Yeah, again, really good from Arsenal. Silly from Leuven. Janssen's in that corner, not really sure where she's trying to go, and Kelly can turn it over once again. I'm not really sure what she's trying to do here. May have ran out, was close. But Kay did well to keep it in. Smith, though, in the penalty area, did well to wriggle her way through and get a shot away, but that's a decent save.
Williamson steps up into midfield well to win back the ball. Konijnenberg now looks to hit it in behind, and that's ambitious, trying to win a foot race against Emily Fox.
Yeah, that is the one player in an Arsenal shirt that you are not going to get in behind of.
Yeah, the only defender, yeah. Where if it's to the other side, you perhaps back it a little bit more. Fox knocks it down the line. Kelly unable to get there. And Janssen sends it forwards. Good hold up, really good hold up there. From the winger, Reinders. Fox recovering. Stops in her tracks. Reinders now does take aim, and that has taken a touch on the way through. And that's out for a Leuven corner.
Yeah, really good spell this by OH Leuven. Again, good play, and Reinders does really well here. Fox again inevitably gets back in, wins the foot race, gets back in possession, but she does well to Reinders to give herself half a yard and to get the shot away, and taking a nick off the shin of Emily Fox and out for a corner. Without that touch, may have troubled Van Domselaar, but set pieces, massive opportunity this for OH Leuven to get one back.
So again, what can they do? Can they threaten Arsenal from this set piece? They've been quite good on corners in this competition, Leuven. This one's taken short. Now it's going to give space for the cross. Kuipers lays it, though, into Pushtai, and that one's blocked. Hasn't really worked the way they wanted it to, and now there is a head injury, and Leuven are frustrated because that literally hit her arm. Nowhere near the head of Katie McCabe, who's managed to buy the free kick or buy the stoppage well.
In fairness to McCabe, she's not even gone down holding her head. I'm really not sure why Demetrescu's given that. It wins her, and McCabe's fine with that. She goes down just holding her stomach. I'm really not sure why Demetrescu has stopped that, and Leuven rightfully frustrated because they had the ball in the final third. That's a bizarre one.
Yeah, that's a very odd one. Demetrescu there, perhaps bailing Arsenal out a little bit, and Arsenal, or the Leuven players here, not happy at all. I think Pushtai gone into the book for her, or Mertens, sorry, has gone into the book for her complaints. Because that's probably Leuven's best opportunity. And Demetrescu not enjoying the criticism, and very quick to show Mertens a yellow card.
Yeah, I mean, when Demetrescu tells you to stop, you should probably just put a button in it and move on.
Yeah. OH Leuven have possession now, though. Reinders. Pass inside, not on. Back now into Mertens. Exchanging with their goalkeeper. And back now to Sinehaver. Looking for that forward ball. And she's going to look to be direct again. Konijnenberg able to touch it on well to a teammate. And Williamson, who missed that initial header, able to pounce on the second ball well. Cadena. Now McCabe. Here is Mariona Caldente. McCabe. Leah Cadena. Now Leah Williamson. Ball down the line now. Looking for the runner Palova. Needs support. Into Fox, who turns backwards. Probably could have been more positive there, but does do really well to hold on to possession. Caldente. Ford, Palova, Fox. Back to Palova. Arsenal probing on the right-hand side. And a great win there from Reinders. And Leuven will look to break quickly here. Still carrying it forwards, Reinders. Gets away from Kelly. Kelly clips her. Referee thinks it's a dive, though, from Reinders. And Arsenal will be allowed to come forwards here. Palova. Marnham. Ford on this left-hand side. Wants to take on the fullback. Cuts it back to McCabe, who lays it in there towards Olivia Smith, who does make contact with the header, but heads it wide.
Yeah, important for Leuven to see that chance go. Approaching additional time, they should get into the break at only 2 goals down. But it's been a decent half for them. I think they've been frustrated there. Reinders was the one trying to break away and just lost their footing. But there's that positive intent has been there for the whole half.
Yeah, I think it's, they've not just played as underdogs, Leuven. They have had an intent to try and get forwards when possible. Got a minute of additional time in this first half. Hasn't been too many stoppages, to be fair. Outside of the somewhat casual celebrations for the goals. Here is Janssen. That's cleared away as Kelly wins it back. And out for a throw-in. Leuven, I think, will be fairly happy. I think they'll be frustrated with the manner in which they've continued, but I think they'll be happy with the performance. All going down the line looking for Kaneinenberg again. Cleared away by Williamson. Header one now. Marnham pouncing on the loose ball. Smith, couple in unusual touches there, but does get it to Frida Marnham. Williamson swings the ball into the box. Headed away well by Bismans. And Catley and Caldente, can't quite get there. And that will be the end of this first half at the break here at the King Power at Den Stadion in Hervelle, Belgium. It is OH Leuven 0, Arsenal 2. Goals coming from Frida Marnham with the deftest of headers and Olivia Smith with a tidy finish. Both of them crosses, both goals. Leuven 0, Arsenal 2.
Yeah, good half by both, despite the fact the hosts are losing. I think they'll be pretty content with the challenge that they have taken to the European champions so far. The first goal was probably a bit soft, but they reacted to that well, and I thought that they had some good spells in there. Arsenal, though, again, some really good stuff. Took their time to get going. First 10-15 minutes was a little bit slow, but they kicked into gear from there, and that first goal really seemed to spur them on. But I have to say, it was quite a high-quality affair. To give credit to OH Leuven, they've been very, very positive. And then, of course, they're not matching Arsenal. Arsenal are still the superior side in this game. But, we've seen some really quality stuff from both sides. The final ball just been lacking for Leuven, and for Arsenal, well, obviously they've got those 2 goals. They could have had a couple more if it wasn't for some inaccurate finishing in the final third. But on the whole, a pretty competitive half. Arsenal deservedly ahead, but 2 teams playing some really nice football.
Yeah, I think Leuven's game plan has kind of gone exactly how they would have wanted outside of the goals. I think that they've been able to nullify Arsenal for the rest of their attacks. I think they've been able to come forwards with some sort of consistency and some sort of threat when they have got on the ball. But overall, the quality for Arsenal just shining through when they have got in the final third. Sometimes it's been a little bit static, but they struggle to get shots away early. When they have got shots away, though, later into this half, they put a lot on target. They've tested the goalkeeper a lot, and on a couple of occasions now, we've seen Arsenal's quality shine through and then them find them goals.
Yeah, as you say, I think that they just got better and better in front of goals. The half went on. I thought that even the first goal wasn't the best effort, but it was, I think, what we've seen from Arsenal, especially in that first half, on the whole, it's been a calmness in front of goal. And I think that we saw it with Olivia Smith's goal at the Emirates on Sunday, the composure to just round Yamashita. And again, we saw it in this game. Marnham's first goal, the header, doesn't try and blast it over. It's just a deft touch. Smith, once again, that cuts it back, it makes a good movement and puts it into the far corner. Doesn't try and blast it, just cuts it back nicely. Ball's already got pace and it deals with it. I think on the whole, Arsenal have looked really calm in attacking areas, and that's not something that we've been able to say about them at times this season. But I think the last couple games, it's really shown just this composure in front of goal, and it absolutely matters in these kind of games when you're trying to break down a low block. If you get chances and you're blasting them over and you're panicking and you're rushing them, you're going to waste those opportunities. But tonight, really clinical, taking their opportunities, punish Leuven when they've managed to have space in behind, and 2 very well taken goals.
Yeah, I think Arsenal will be very happy with how they've gone about their first half. They haven't conceded a shot on target yet. They've dictated the game really, outside of a fleeting few moments where Leuven have broken away looking dangerously. They haven't really tested Arsenal yet, and I think Arsenal have had it absolutely comfortably. They'll be really happy with the intensity they've played with. I think they'll be very happy with how they performed in the final third this evening. So pretty much exactly what we would have expected. The quality showing through, Arsenal finding the goals, and Arsenal being in control at this stage of the game. I think it'll be very difficult now to. I think if Leuven were going to stay in this game, it was going to take them being at 0-0 or perhaps even a Leuven goal. I think it's very difficult now to imagine them coming back. But take nothing away from their campaign this season in the Women's Champions League. They've done incredibly well to be in the position they are in. And we'll see how they can go in the next few years. It's a great learning curve for them, an experience getting to this stage of the competition. They can come back next season into the Champions League with the same level of confidence, the same belief in their performances which they have throughout this tournament. I think it stands them in good stead to perhaps get to the same stage once again. And it will take time for them to be able to break into that sort of the strong part of Europe and those strong teams, but if they continue to invest in their team, I think there's some really talented players on that Leuven side. But the quality is just that the biggest difference at the moment, that Arsenal team is considerably stronger, and it's showing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Arsenal are really strutting their stuff, but Leuven have put up a strong resolve, and I think that they'll be mostly content with what they saw. I think that, as you say, it's the quality in the final third. Leuven have come forwards and been positive, but that final ball is just missing. That final attempt, the decision making in and around the box is just lacking, and that's what the elite sides possess, and that's why Arsenal scored 2 goals tonight and Leuven haven't. But on the whole, they've worked pretty well. Leuven, I think that they'll be disappointed with the first goal. The second goal not so much, but the first goal, because I thought it was quite a cheap goal to concede. It was very soft. There wasn't the cross. It was very easy for Ford just to drift inside. The cross didn't have much pace on it. Marnham, it's a deft header, but there wasn't much pace behind it again, and I think that they could have dealt with that situation a lot better. And at that stage in the game, they held their own for 20-25 minutes. They were right in the contest, but that goal going in then just opened the game up a little bit and allowed Arsenal to. It takes the pressure off Arsenal. The biggest problem for big sides when they're playing against a low block is that the longer it stays 0-0, you feel that pressure because you need that goal. So it builds up, and that's when we start to see rush shots, panicking, wrong decisions. But with Arsenal being able to break the deadlock, on what was it, 25 minutes, it just opened the game up a little bit more. And then Leuven did well to react because they went 15, 20 minutes until the second goal went in. But I think they were disappointed with that first one because that then just. They started really well. They're right in the game, but that one kind of just opened them out a little bit and then allowed Arsenal to really just took the pressure off Arsenal.
Yeah, I did, absolutely. I think that, the first goal is the one that's more avoidable for me. I think that's where the frustration lies. The Smith goal, it's a good ball into the box. The fullback should do better. Everett should do better up against Kelly. But it's a good ball into the box. It's a really good finish from Olivia Smith. So that one isn't quite as frustrating, I think, from a Leuven perspective. But that first goal, with the cross being into the box, cross going into the box from Fox, was a bit of a floater. It felt there was time there for Beesmans to react and jump in front of it. She stuck behind Marnham there. Marnham was to get the slightest touch onto it. And it just trickled past the goalkeeper. And I think Seinhaber would love to have that one back because you would have expected a goalkeeper who we've seen be really impressive over these games against Arsenal. We'd expect her to be able to make a save from that sort of position. So I think she's been disappointed with that one. We're going to turn to the live chat for their comments. Mainly, it's talking about Chelsea's ownership situation. Isn't highly relative to this game, but Roy Marsh just says Arsenal will play Chelsea in the quarterfinals if they win this tie. Indeed, what a matchup that would be. It'd be very interesting to see how that one would pan out. Still torn as to whether we want to go and watch that, whether we'll be here live, but either way, looking forward to what will be a very exciting game for sure. But yeah, we're still a long way off that. Still another 135 minutes of football. At a minimum, maybe Leuven will turn it around from knowing whether or not Arsenal will play Chelsea in that game. But the 2-0 lead has put them in a really comfortable position, making it look very likely. We have still got 5 minutes of second half. So just quickly, the questions coming around Chelsea's ownership. Paul Green leaving is the wrong decision. That's a pretty easy one to say. It's very much screams, because I've seen a lot of people say Paul Green's decided to leave because Bompastor had a contract renewed. Very much not the case. Paul Green was pushed out the door. It's something that the new Chelsea ownership have been trying to do now since they took over. They want to have more control of the women's team, and Paul Green was someone who wouldn't just do what they told him to do. So they wanted him gone anyway. I don't think had any relation. Paul Green and Bompastor had a great relationship by all accounts. So I don't think that was had any in any way was related to Bompastor getting a new contract. And I think, as annoying as it is, because obviously the Chelsea project has worked with Paul Green at the helm, I do think the way that Chelsea have conducted their business in the men's game is much more suited to the women's game. The reason it hasn't worked yet in the men's game, and to be fair, I think that it is still. I think Chelsea are going somewhere. They are built. I think the squad they're built now is quite decent, albeit there are still a lot of issues there. But they are competitive. The difference in the women's game is with their model. What they're trying to do is basically sign all the best young talents and then have this brilliant squad where they can sort of trade some of them away and keep the best ones. It's kind of what Chelsea women have been doing anyway, signing lots of very talented young players, introducing some of them, and looking to sell for profit the ones who don't quite make it. I think getting £450,000 for Jean-Francois, for example, is a great example of the possibility there. And with it being a smaller pool of players, it's easier for Chelsea to sign all the best ones. But I mean, we'll see what's going to happen. It very much depends, doesn't it, who comes in to replace Paul Gray?
Yeah, it's one of those where it's frustrating, but the next step is a bit of an unknown, and which is, again, it's easy to criticise it, but that unknown could still be a very, very good thing. It could be a step in the right direction. It could be very positive for the longevity of the football club and the long-term aim. So, yeah, I think that the general reaction right now, of course, has been a bit of frustration and a bit of annoyance at the way it's all unfolded. But if it all turns out to be a very positive, end solution, then people will look back on it and say that it maybe wasn't the worst decision.
Yeah, indeed. And I think Chelsea needed a summer anyway, where a lot happens. They need players who fit Bompastor's style of play, and that was always going to be a very busy summer. To do it without Paul Green will be interesting because he has the expertise in the women's game that Winstanley and Stewart don't. Hopefully they will bring in someone to do that job rather than trusting themselves to do it, which would be insane. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that one. Phil says, quite decent after the amount of spending is insane. It's a club obsessed with bending financial rules rather than winning football. Well, I think that's just a very simplistic way to look at it. If you're a fan of a rival club or you're pessimistic about the project, you'll quote the amount that Chelsea's men have spent. Not that we'll be getting into men's football on this show, but if you see what they're trying to do, then you'll look at the fact that most of the money spent has been also made, and actually the profit on transfers has been incredibly high, and the assets they've acquired. And I think looking at players as assets isn't particularly fun, but clubs operate as businesses now, and ultimately players are assets to the people at the top level. So they've acquired players who will be able to sell for profit. That's what they're going to look to do to the women's game, to the women's team as well, where they'll have the core of players, and then they'll look to bring in a lot of youngsters we would expect this summer. And it's going to look like a very young Chelsea team, I would expect, after this summer window. What will be interesting is how they are able then to compete for titles, whether it is indeed going to be a bit of a longer process. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work. We've seen how losing 2 games has sent the Chelsea women's fan base into a complete frenzy. Everyone's gone completely insane. So whether there will be the patience for that project to work, we don't know. But that is certainly the way it's going to work, and I don't think complaining about it is necessarily going to change much.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be very interesting to see how the summer plays out. I think it's going to be interesting summers across the board for a lot of teams in the WSL. Chelsea mainly now, but again, Arsenal, another club who are in need, are going to need a big summer. It's going to be interesting to see the kind of decisions they make. But I think that it's one of those where it makes this end of the season as important as ever to those kind of clubs, because when you do have a summer which is a bit of an unknown, when you don't really know how it's going to play out, who you're going to bring in, what your team's going to look like next season, it's important that you end the current season on a high. And I think that's something that Chelsea especially, but other clubs will definitely be looking to do in the next couple of months, because the last thing you want to do is go into a bit of an unknown on the back of a difficult period or a trophyless season. So I think that it's important that these kind of top sides that we're expecting to be busy in the summer window have a good end of this season, to have some belief and something to springboard off going into next campaign.
Yeah, I think also Chelsea are looking for stability. I think there's very little stability in the women's game right now with how it's growing. The finances are very difficult to actually ascertain where it all lies. But I think what Chelsea are looking to do, I mean, we've seen them talk about having longer contracts in other clubs so they can retain the value on a lot of players, rather than what we've seen in the last few years, which is that 1-2 year contracts are incredibly common in the women's game. And we see players get 6-month contracts at times. So. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen with that project, but that's a longer discussion than what we've got in this small period before the second half kicks off. Speaking of the second half, it looks like Smila Holmberg will enter the fray for Arsenal, so we'd expect that to be a substitution for Emily Fox, which makes sense considering that early yellow card.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Fox is one of those players that should have a longer contract, but Fox on a yellow card. Arsenal in a very, very good position. No real need for Fox to play the second 45 minutes. They should be home and dry here to take the victory. So understandably, Fox getting a rest and not Arsenal not risking her picking up a suspension going into the second leg.
Yeah, absolutely. So Holmberg on in her place, and I think that's going to give them a bit even more directness probably on that right hand side. Holmberg more of a direct threat, will want to hold the width a lot more than perhaps Fox does. So Fox is a bit more dynamic than Holmberg, but she's better at beating players. And actually, what we've seen so far this evening is that Fox had a lot of joy down that right hand side. I think we'll see Holmberg have even more joy on that right hand side. So yeah, Emily Fox making way. Smila Holmberg coming on. The only change for Arsenal going into the second half, and I think Leuven happy to keep things the same. Which makes sense. I think Leuven will be happy-ish with how that first half went. Frustrated by the way the goals went in, but I think the performance wasn't too bad.
Yeah, exactly that. They can replicate something from that first half performance, and maybe even if they only concede one goal in this half, it wouldn't be a bad 45 for them.
Yeah, indeed, and it will be Arsenal to get us back underway in this second half. As Daphne Van Domslaert takes to the goal at the far end. And Arsenal giving their travelling support something to cheer about at the moment. It's Olivia Smith from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle. Knocks it back, and we're back underway in this second half. OH Leuven taking on Arsenal. Arsenal with the 2-goal advantage. Can they look to cruise to victory now, or can Leuven mount something of a comeback? We'll have to wait and see, but it's Arsenal on the ball here as they look to build up the pitch. McCabe holding on to that one well. Back now to Williamson. Plays it forward to Holmberg. Holmberg holding on to possession. Mertens trying to see her wide. And good defending. Holmberg forced backwards into Kelly, who lays the ball into the area. Headed away well by Biesmans. Kaneinenberg trying to clip it forwards, but not able there to pick out her teammate. I think was trying to find Bastiles in behind, but Bastiles not quite on the same wavelength.
Important that Leuven start the second half quickly. Again, can be very vulnerable when they're not set in, and they need to make sure that they can pick up where they left off in that first 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Caldente then on to Leah Williamson. Holmberg has the beating of Janssen, ball in towards the back post. Chance now for Ford, who should do better in that position. And Leuven able to clear their lines. think she's got to do better there. Caitlin Ford in a great area in the penalty area. Falls quite nicely for her. Unable, though, to make great contact with the ball.
Yeah, she does well to peel off the fullback, but just doesn't catch it properly at all and completely scuffs it and gets nothing behind it. But yeah, should have had a better attempt at that, Ford.
Palova, Marnham, Kelly, tidy combinations. Williamson now in towards the back post. Ford takes a touch. Can she take aim? Robbed the possession in there by Hermans. And now trying to break away is Kuipers. Now towards the right-hand side now for Arsenal. Kelly. Holmberg. Now Mariona Caldente. Smith. Caldente. Here's Kelly. Trying to create room for the cross. Williamson. Back inside to Victoria Palova. Can she take aim from this sort of area? Great strike from Palova. And a really good save from Seinhover. And I think that's been given us a goal kick.
Yeah, it has. I was definitely sure the goalkeeper got quite a big touch on this. We'll have another look back. Yes, she does. It's a good save. It's a great save.
Utterly bizarre decision from Demetrescu. Great save from Seinhaver. Great turn there. And Leuven trying to be direct, but Kadina bringing the ball down brilliantly. Holmberg. Now Kelly. Knocks it down the line. Smith takes it in a stride nicely. Out to a well, though, is Beesmans. Kelly. Palova. Trying to find Smith. One back again, though, by Palova after it was intercepted. Holmberg. Kelly goes back to Williamson. And now Kadina. Now to McCabe. Great movement there from Ford to peel off Everett. Tries to cut it back for Smith. And who's that come off? It's come off the defender. And Mertens frustrated again with the referee's decision. And it's a corner now for Arsenal.
Yeah, I'd like another look back at that one. I thought Ford might have initially ran it off herself. No, she kept it in well. And that does come off Olivia Smith. I mean, even, again, that's one of those where I think as a referee, if you're not sure, you've just got to go off the players' reactions. Yeah, you've got OH Leuven there who are adamant, and Olivia Smith who kind of poked their arm half-heartedly up in the air.
Ball in now from Kelly towards the back post. Header towards goal from Kadina, and that's saved well by Seinhaver. Jumped onto that ball back across the box.
Yeah, good piece of goalkeeping. Brave gets out there quickly. Make sure she's ahead of all the bodies and can get there first.
McCabe wanting to drive it forwards. Into Mariona Caldente. Kadina. Williamson goes wide into Holmberg. Down the line to Ford. He's trying to drop back in now, looking for an option. Being hassled backwards, though. Kadina poking it forwards to Caldente, who just lays it into Smith. Smith now having to drop deep with the ball to keep hold of possession. Williamson playing it forwards into Smith, who's dropped to receive. Caldente, now Marnham. Nice movement. Kelly, ball across the box, and that's overhit from Chloe Kelly and go out over the far side, or on this near side, sorry, for a throw-in.
Yeah, again, good move from Arsenal, but Kelly gets the cross wrong. Plenty of options in there, and could have even picked out Holmberg on this far side, but yeah, just got put way too much behind that, Chloe Kelly.
Ball launched forwards, brought down well by Kadina. Williamson into Holmberg, and that's turned over well by Kaneinenberg. Nowhere to go here. Brilliant work, though, from Kuipers. Lifted out to the right-hand side. Ball in from Everett, and that's just over the top. Good movement there from Bastilles and Kaneinenberg. Both made movements into the penalty area. Not the ball, though, just slightly misplaced. This was brilliant, though, from Reinders. Just kept battling away through midfield. Releases it out to the right-hand side, where it's nice work from Leuven. They created an overload on the left, drew Arsenal across and created space for Everett, but her delivery into the box should have been a lot better.
Yeah, again, really nice move. I think Everett's we frustrated. Probably could have been a bit more direct. Maybe the pass from Ryan just took her too far out wide. But yeah, the ball in there had to be a lot better.
To be fair though, if it's a pinpoint delivery, Kaneinenberg's done really well there to split the centre halves.
Yeah.
Over Smith, great roll round the corner into Ford, who manages to hold on to the ball, and that's squared and finished off by Frida Arnhem. Ford, the architect, with using her body to hold on to the ball. It was really well done from Olivia Smith, who received it and spun it round into Caitlin Ford. And it's Frida Arnhem who adds the final touch and gets her second goal of the game.
Yeah, really good from Caitlin Ford. Uses her strength and has the easy job of cutting it back to Marnham. Puts it on a plate for her, and Frida Arnhem pokes it into an empty net. Again, Janssens, it's got to be better there. Way too weak up against Ford. And I think she's had a bit of a tough time with it. Janssens and up against started up against Kelly and Fox. Now it's Holmberg and Ford on that right hand side, and just hasn't been able to cope at all. Does the right thing, tries to be aggressive, but Ford just too strong for her. Marnham tidy finish, but Arsenal now in complete control of this game.
Yeah, and if it wasn't game over already, that should be fairly comfortable now for Arsenal, getting muscled there by Caitlin Ford, who before this game had just 3 goal contributions in all competitions, now has 5 with 2 assists picked up in this match. Ball forwards now into Kelly, whose misplaced pass is picked off well. Reinders, Kaneinenberg plays it in behind, overhit though from Kaneinenberg.
Yeah, again, another nice move from Leuven. They picked the ball off well and looked to be positive with it, but that final ball it's been lacking all night. You know, whether it's a through ball, whether it's a cross, it's just that final pass hasn't been there. And that's the difference between the two sides at the moment.
Great pressure, and Caldente gets away with one there. Marnham plays it into Ford, who lifts it towards the back post, and that's just touched out of play well by Janssen.
Yeah, let off for Leuven because they stopped after Caldente won the ball back, expecting to get a free kick. Weren't a foul. And no one reacted. And Arsenal looked to pounce. Not a bad ball in from Ford. No one there to meet it, though. Janssens does a sensible thing and just puts it out for a corner.
And Kelly there has taken the corner. And it's been given the other way. I think an offside call there. And Demetrescu, not happy with Arsenal trying some antics.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what the problem was there, because I'm not really sure that there was one.
It's been given as offside. Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
All forwards. Header one by Cadena. This is a foul.
Potentially. Maybe there was one as they were both running out to the ball and jostling for it. Who knows? But yeah, Arsenal have been mixing up their corners, haven't they? In the first half, we saw it was Williamson doing like imitating plane wings, and then McCabe floated the ball towards her. And then that one there, trying something a bit cheeky, just leaving the ball and trying to get the player to run onto it. But I like that they're mixing it up.
Nothing's worked yet, but they're trying something, because corners this season haven't been a point of strength for Arsenal. They haven't been looking across in training at what the men's side are doing. And yeah, we've not really seen them exploit corners as well as they could have. McCabe, and they've also been a side who've really struggled to defend them, as well as set pieces. In totality have been a bit of an issue for Arsenal this season, both sides of the ball. Ford trying to spin Janssen back now into Mariona Caldente, exchanging with Palova. Palova lifting it forwards. Holmberg not able to hold on to that one as Janssen pokes it away. And now Kelly. Williamson. Cadena. Here's McCabe. Carrying the ball forwards, Katie McCabe. Palova. Into Kelly. Ball into the box. Shot now from Marnham. Can she get her third of the night? Not quite on this occasion. The hat-trick looming. Not able to find the third one there. just yet.
Yeah, it's the second time Friedeman's done that tonight. The ball's fallen to her in the penalty area, and she's just end up kicking the ball into her standing foot. But yeah, that was a big chance to seal the hat trick in what has been a really fruitful night for Friedemann so far.
Yeah, Aloka says, I'm most interested for Juventus Wolfsburg. I think all the other 3 ties are strong. I think Paris FC Real Madrid will be the closest one for me. Marnham. Kelly. Forced back to Williamson. Because I can't really call Juventus Wolfsburg, but I do feel whoever wins it will have it more comfortably. Whereas I think Paris FC Real Madrid is going to be a really tight game, whatever the outcome. Caldente. Carrying out towards the left-hand side. Now Marnham. Knocking it wide to Ford. Caldente. Back to Caitlin Ford. And now Cadena. Smith. Brilliant hold up in there from Olivia Smith. Now into McCabe. As Ford has an option. Goes back towards Smith, who can curl it from this sort of range. Comes inside. And that's a fantastic tackle from Hermans. And they'll look to break away now. Reinders had to feed Kaneinenberg. Holds on to it way too long. And it's cleared away by Williamson out for a Leuven throw on the far side.
Yeah, had 2 great opportunities there. Could have gone through the middle to Kaneinenberg. Could have gone out onto the right-hand side. Didn't quite get it right, and that will be our last contribution of this game. Triple change for Leuven.
Yeah, Leuven just refreshing the pack here. And so it will be the winger Reinders and central midfielders Kuipers and Hermans who make way. That's going to be Decker, Nagy and De Koester coming onto the field as part of that triple change.
Yeah, I like that. Getting in early, we see a lot of the weaker opposition can get caught out by tiring legs towards the end of games, but I like that from the Leuven bench. They know that's a fit, and they're making those changes early before those legs start to tire. They don't want to get caught out. They want to try and keep this game keep the scoreline as low as they can possibly can.
Yeah, I think that Ryan decision may have just come after a very poor decision. Full heart of the pitch. Here's Nagy looking to be involved early on, and that poke towards goal. Not able to offer any threat. So Decker joining the attacking line at left wing. And then the midfielders, De Koester and Nagy, both going into the midfield. Williamson. To Holmberg. Back to Leah Williamson.
It's always nice as a manager when you see one of your substitutions come on and have a shot within the first 30 seconds of them being on the pitch.
Caldente. There's Ford. Lays into Marnham, who can cut it back now. Too close, though, to the goalkeeper, Steinhever. And unable there to add another to their strong lead in this game.
Yeah, another good move. Ford, Marnham, both players that have had a good evening, linking up once again. That cutback, though, couldn't quite reach Olivia Smith, who's also enjoyed a pretty good evening.
De Koester pulled back there by Caldente. And so a free kick now for Leuven. And Arsenal now making sure that even on her rest day, Alessia Russo doesn't go a full 90 without getting on the field. First though, Leah Williamson will make way, and Lotte Wubenmoy coming onto the field and taking the armband. And then Chloe Kelly gets to the hour mark and then is withdrawn, with Alessia Russo coming on to the pitch. They are short on attacking options, and Kelly probably couldn't have played 90 minutes today. But that just feels a bit of an odd one to me. I mean, look at their bench. Little, Cooney Cross, Catley and Wubenmoy. None of them could really go in at right wing, but you could put someone at centre-half and put Holmberg at right wing or something along those lines.
Yeah.
I just don't think Russo needed to play half an hour here. Shot from range here, and a great save from Van Domselaar. Looked like Arsenal had dealt with the threat from Leuven, but just dropped there to the right winger, but Steels struck it well, and it required a decent start from Daphne Van Domselaar.
Yeah, again, really good aggression from the changes. It was Decker and De Kuyper that turned the ball over. And yeah, Van Donselaar called into action for the first time this evening and produces a fine stop.
So what can OH Leuven do from this corner? Ball floated in towards the area, headed away. And, well, they're trying to keep it alive, Can Einenberg there, but it's cleared by Caitlin Ford, who has a complaint for the referee. Now Leuven with this throw-in on the near side. And, well, a look back at that save once again. Caldente caught on the ball, who at times have struggled to hold the ball in those deeper areas.
Yes, that would be the one thing for Arsenal, I think, was that the midfield pivot has been a bit scrappy. A bit of a quiet game for Caldente and Pelova.
Ball over the top now. Decker does well there, wanting to take on Holmberg. Holmberg using her body well and moving on, trying to see it out of play. Great pressure from Decker. But that push over the line, really.
Yeah, don't mind that. Hounding Ruben Moy, yes, commits the foul, but pinning her in the corner, keeping Arsenal where they are. I mean, Ruben Moy wasn't really going anywhere, so perhaps a bit unnecessary. But again, it's just that intent from Leuven is they haven't let up at all. You know, they're still trying to be positive, still trying to be aggressive, and cause Arsenal problems. And I think 28 minutes to go, it's going to be a tough ask to get through without conceding another. But if they can get one themselves, then maybe that changes the landscape a little bit.
Holmberg. Ruben Moy. Back to Holmberg, who wants to take on Janssen. Janssen does well, though. And that will be a Leuven throw-in on the near side. Taken quickly. Leuven looking to capitalise perhaps on some Arsenal complacency, if there is to be any, in the last half an hour here. They're building it to the left-hand side. Back to goalkeeper Seinhaber. He's going to go direct with it. De Kuyper can't quite meet it. Smith now. Pelova into Alessia Russo. Forced backwards. Does now knock it wide into Olivia Smith. Smith looking for options. Cuts it back. Russo gets... Marlon gets a touch. I think she was looking for Caldente there, who just floated towards the edge of the box. Now on the ball, Mariona Caldente, but still trying to force her back. McCabe. Cadena. McCabe into Marnham, who pulls wide to receive. Looks it wide into Caitlin Ford. Cadena. Back to Lotte Ruben Moy. Pelova. Olivia Smith takes that under her control well. Now Smila Holmberg. Can she make happen from this position? Ball into the area. No issues there for the goalkeeper as Seinhaber claims it well.
Yeah, not a bad idea from Holmberg. Just not quite the execution there. And again, it's another Arsenal attack that Leuven have managed to withstand. I think they have to keep this at 3-0. They cut if they concede. I mean it's very much probably tie over. And I don't see Leuven winning 3-0 away at Arsenal, but I think that there's always a chance with 3, and you want to keep it as tight as possible. They really won't want to concede a fourth or any more than that in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they want to keep it respectable. Less so for the opportunity of turning it around. I don't think there is any opportunity. Again, never rule it out, but I think you want to give a good account of yourselves. I think they've done that throughout this tournament regardless, but the 3-0 loss looks a lot better than a 4 or 5-0 loss.
Yeah.
And if they could get a goal back, that's even more pride for themselves. De Kuyper carrying it forwards out towards the right-hand side. Pounced on well by Katie McCabe, and now Caitlin Ford, who has looked good this evening. Nagy trying to stop her. Ford still bringing it forwards though, and Nagy able to get in front of that, and that will bounce out of play, but it will be an Arsenal corner. And Nagy not happy there because her shoes come off. She was just caught by Ford.
Yeah. Again, well defended by Nagy out in the wide area. Yeah, Ford just catches her on the back of the foot. She'll be given the time to put her boot back on and lace it up once again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Leuven, they'd look at it, and if they can keep this at 3-0, it's consistency from the league phase. I guess that's the other thing you could say.
I mean, you'd want to give a better account than that.
You would, yeah.
Yeah.
You want it to go the other way.
Ball in from Arsenal towards the front post. Ruben Moy now. Back to Palova, and it's a shot through a crowd of bodies, which is denied. Ball down the line. McCabe. And Kaneinenberg presses it quickly, but it comes off. Kaneinenberg out for a throw. She's been lively up there. Kaneinenberg.
It's one of those where, although she hasn't really seen the ball, she's still had a part to play, been aggressive, got herself about, and made things difficult.
Decent movement, just hasn't really had the players around her to make it work. And Leuven fans now are sporting to North America and doing the Mexican wave. Here is Holmberg. So they're very happy. Pull over around the corner into Smila Holmberg. Trying to carry the ball forwards. Great work from Holmberg. And now Ruben Moy. Ball inside. McCabe, who's inverted tidily. Caldente. Back to Cadena. McCabe. Here's Marnham. Rousseau now trying to make the run off the shoulder. Pokes it back towards Ford. Caldente. Through the lines into Rousseau. Turns nicely. And a couple stabs at it, but unable to find the pass across. It's picked off, and I look to break away now. Kaneinenberg. Bastiles. Switching the play. Decker. Putting it in there, and Ruben Moy jumps in front of it. It was the right sort of ideas there, but the execution for Leuven was poor as they tried to hit Arsenal on the counter.
Yeah, I thought the switch was the wrong decision initially, but I didn't mind it. I think Decker didn't back herself, obviously, to drive it forwards and beat Arsenal players to try to go for a very deep cross. Ambitious, to say the least, and didn't come off. But again, they're trying to be positive. They're trying to be on the front foot and make things happen in the final third.
Carrying the ball forwards here is Caitlin Ford. Will she take aim? She's going to try and fashion the shot and does so. A relatively tame effort, though. Straight at the goalkeeper and no issue there for Seinhaver. And a player who desperately needs a goal. Caitlin Ford unable to muster up one there.
Yeah, been a good game for Ford, but should have liked to have added to the tally there.
Yeah, her performances against weak opposition have been good.
Yeah.
She scored against the tired Corinthians in the Champions Cup final, scored against West Ham, 2 assists tonight. She's still showing that she is capable against sides where she's able to beat weaker players, but yeah, hasn't had the season that she would have wanted, really. Caldente into Holmberg, ball across the box, a low delivery, cleared away. Palova trying to keep this move alive. Lovely turn from Palova. The shot, though, is weak and is blocked by the player in front of her.
You just feel that if this Leuven side need that one-class player, because I think their biggest problem tonight has just been that final ball's been off. But for Volerenia, it was always Ola Tveden, but obviously now she plays for Brighton. But
to be fair, though, Volerenia have a lot of player for player, their tide is better than Leuven's.
It is. But I just think if they had they had one player that just had that bit of quality in the final third, could get that final ball, because everything else has been really good. They've shifted the ball quickly. The defending has been pretty solid across the game. The build-up play's been good. As I say, they've been really good in that midfield area, moving the ball quickly, getting from back to front with pace. But once they get the ball up there, they've just lacked someone who can get that final pass, that through ball, just to get it right.
Well, they look to come forwards now. De Coyster, that's great defending from Ruben Moy, who jumped on it well. Smith, tidy footwork, trying to get away here from Mertens. Nowhere to go. Running out of pitch to run into. Holmberg. Needing some support. Back to Lotte Wubben-Moy, inside to Palova, who turns out. Back to Holmberg. Palova into Marnham. Holmberg across the box. Saved well. Falls for Russo, and she adds to the score sheet. Leuven 0, Arsenal 4. It's been a really nice attacking display from Arsenal, and that's a really nice finish again. They've all been a little bit messy, but they've all gone in the back of the net. Lovely combination play. Marnham dropped in deep. Holmberg puts it across, and it just seems to... It's not a brilliant delivery, but it's not dealt with by Leuven. It fizzes through, and Russo on hand to steer it home. Leuven 0, Arsenal 4.
Yeah, again, not decent move by Arsenal, but I think the Leuven keeper would like that one back. Came out to claim it, and again, has been as positive as she has been all night. But that one is probably that goal is definitely avoidable, and they'll be frustrated by that because again, it's been a good second half. Been another. I think it's been 2 good halves, but this second half again has been solid from Leuven. But they're just the first real obvious error that's crept into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Arsenal refreshing their side. Cooney Cross returning to action for the first time in the new year. And Mariana Caldente making way, earning a well-deserved rest. As she has found rest very almost impossible to come by, actually, this season. So integral to the Arsenal team. Pass inside now as Leuven look to progress. Flicked on there. Not quite coming off in the final third again from Leuven.
They'll feel like they could have got a goal tonight, Leuven. I think they'd have really fancied themselves again. They've had a couple chances. They'd have put a shot on target and forced a good save out of Van Domstal. They had a couple of opportunities, but as I say, that final ball has just been lacking a little bit.
Indeed. Janssen, Kaneinenberg. One back by Cadena, who's taking this ball for a drive. Palova. Wide now to Smith. Has the beating here of Janssen. Initially knocks the ball past her, but Janssen uses her body well to shield the ball and able to defend well from Olivia Smith.
Yeah, much better from Janssen in that scenario. Much stronger, does well, she's assertive, gets her body across Smith, makes it difficult for the Arsenal winger. That's exactly what she needed to do for the third goal, rather than letting Ford just beat her.
Smith looking for an option. Taking a sweet time out of this. And Demetrescu, with no motivation to speed her up, she will now blow the whistle again to try and speed her up. And Smith throws it to a Leuven player. The Cloister battling for it. It's another throw-in. That'll be another 30 seconds. If it's anything like the last one. And it is Smith on it again. Palova dropping for it. Smith not ready. Surveying her options here, and everyone seems to have deserted her. Referee blows a whistle to speed her up again, and that's thrown in middle and cleared away well by Leuven. A minute there, though, gone.
Oh, yeah.
Olivia Smith effectively wasting it.
It was just 2 successive throw-ins, but nobody moved. Everyone just stood there in an Arsenal shirt just expecting Smith to either throw up a blinder or a throw or to come up with something herself.
Lopez says, I'll be interested in how many retirees we see this summer. Well, we've got a video coming out on Friday about contracts expiring. Look out for that on Friday. But there's a lot of players, a lot of older players, especially with contracts expiring. It will come down to whether they want to earn a payday in the US or something like that, whether they want to take a step down to the WSL2 or something like that, or whether they want to retire at the top level. Because someone like Kim Little may leave Arsenal this summer. With how she's performed this season, I could actually see her staying. But there is every chance she decides to retire or decides that, you know what, I'm going to go to the NWSL for a season. I'm going to earn a lot of money and go from there. Or, you know, might fancy a challenge in a different division or something like that. But Yeah, so retiring is a bit dictated by that. If I had to predict, though, I could see Millie Bright and Rachel Daly retiring to fulfil their dream of becoming full-time podcasters, which they'd have great fun with. I could see Aslani retiring, but she's been really good for London City this season, so perhaps she'll stay in the sport. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, Aslani can still do it in the WSL. I'm sure she can still do it in the Damallsvenskan as well. So could just keep going. Here is Ruben Moy lifting it over the top, headed out of play well. And that will be a throw in now for Arsenal. Cat Lantern says, I've been seeing McCabe liking a lot of NWSL posts lately, or media about NWSL, specifically Denver Summit. Could be nothing. I'd be so shocked she would willingly come to the States right now. I don't know. I think it's quite likely she'll go to the States. I don't see any way that... Because I'd expect both... If McCabe goes... I mean, Ford should be leaving anyway, but especially if McCabe goes, Ford will go. And, yeah, I think it makes sense for them to both move to the US. Give the NWSL a go. Change here up front, by the way, for Leuven, Nyrink replacing Kaneinenberg. Fans still in good spirits, though, despite the result.
Yeah, fair play to him.
Oh, you've got to enjoy it.
Exactly, these occasions, it's not often that you get to see your side face off against the reigning European champions. So, yeah, why not? Enjoy it. Yeah, I think that although it is 4-0, I think their side have still put up a very respectable performance. And, yeah, rightfully so, the fans enjoying themselves.
Yeah, Nyrink committing a foul there with her first action of the game. Trying to match the physicality that we saw from Kaneinenberg. Free kick now for Arsenal. Can they add a fifth in this game? Lining up on the edge of the box. Again, could we see them do something different from these set pieces, potentially?
I was looking for any more hand signals or...
Planes.
Yeah.
McCabe and Cooney Cross, the two over this.
This looks like it could be rolled to Cooney Cross. McCabe goes down the line, let's see.
Okay, to McCabe with the hands in the air. Will be the one to take it. Lifted towards the back post. It's touched on. Not exactly ingenious as it's cleared away. I think we expected too much there from Arsenal. After a couple fun routines that didn't pay off, lumping it in the box was the option on that one.
Sometimes the tried and tested methods are the best ones.
Yeah. I think we've tried and tested those a lot this season, Arsenal.
They have.
And yeah. Hasn't really worked. Throw in for Arsenal, and it's Olivia Smith again, who seems fairly indecisive about where to throw this ball.
I say, someone needs to stop. Yeah, she's going to get booked now. Because
that's absolutely deserved.
I'm not really sure what's happening.
And she will drop it and allow someone else to take the throw.
Is it that she can't? Is it that she's not really good at throwing the ball, or is it that no one wants to move for her?
She seems desperate to take throw-ins at the moment, but doesn't seem desperate to release them.
Yeah. Here we go, McCabe's on it
and
now.
now McCabe, who we know will also lean to the dark arts, takes the throw a little quicker. Pull over. McCabe. Into Kadina. Ruben Moy. It's one of those where, I mean, she was taking ridiculous amounts of time every time, Smith, so it looked egregious, but I think it was quite genuine.
Yeah.
There was no options.
It's one of those where, of course, she's going to be one that gets booked, but her teammates that are at fault there because no one's moved for her.
Yeah. Here's Cooney Cross. Lays it to Kadina. Now McCabe. Rousseau. Let's Palova take the ball. Forced backwards into Kyra Cooney Cross. And now McCabe. Touched on by Marnham. Ford wants to take on Everett. Cleared away well. Kadina. Pounces on it. And that's one back in midfield. Touched on by Bastiles into Decker, who'll carry it forwards. Palova with a fantastic tackle, but spinning away, and that's given away to Janssen. Now back with goalkeeper Seinhaber, who I think's done well considering she's conceded 4.
Yeah, I thought the fourth one she should have done a lot better for. First one probably disappointed with, but I don't think it wasn't a glaringly obvious mistake. But yeah, on the whole, made some big saves, and the overall just the way she's commanded the penalty area has been strong.
Ball slipped through, opportunity now, but Nyrink unable there to muscle off Katie McCabe, who sees it out of play well.
Again, not a bad idea. Trying to put that ball in behind. Had the runners, Nybrink, Nagy, both involved.
Kate says, rumours saying if Kerr leaves, it's going to be to Australia, not the US, though I don't see her leaving this season. Problem is there's no money or competition in the Australian League. I think she'll want to go there to help grow the league. But I think she's still very young. She's too young to retire or be playing in the Australian League at 32. So, yeah, I think she's still got at least another season or two at Chelsea. Ball out to the left-hand side. Cadena. Cooney cross. Cadena. Little. Now Wubenmoy. Over to Cooney cross. Unable there to make the right pass. Janssen through the lines. Great challenge from Wubenmoy. Batting away with De Costa. Would to squeeze a pass there into Nagy, and that is a foul there from Alessia Russo. Taken quickly. They look to capitalise on Arsenal's tardiness. Get back in. Janssen. Leuven still probing Mertens. Cross into Biesmans. Lovely exchange on this right-hand side. Nagy plays it forwards. Held up well. Just drifting inside now. Kuipers through the lines. And Janssen there tries to cut it across the box. That's blocked for a Leuven corner.
Again, really good move from Leuven, and I like that patient play. Didn't try and force the ball through. They waited and just let the gap open up.
Yeah. Corner again. What can Leuven do? Can they put a bit of pressure on Arsenal here? Delivered in towards centre of the goal. That's headed away. And Kyra Cooney cross now will clear her lines. I'm back in there by the captain, Biesmans, and Russo wins it back. And Biesmans wanted to pull her back, but has to let her go, and the ball fed through. Marnham on a hat-trick here. Can she find that third? Plaz chooses the selfless option. Passing it into Palova. Just overplayed it initially there, Marnham. Had to shift it. Cooney cross. Now Holmberg. Cooney cross. Marnham lets it run through to Kim Little. Back towards Marnham, and that's cleared away well. Kim Little, the latest of the Arsenal changes. Coming on for Victoria Palova.
Yeah, 400 up now in an Arsenal shirt for Kim Little.
It's a nice milestone to retire on. But I think she'll probably play a few more this season.
Yeah. Incredible longevity.
Yeah. A milestone which few will hit, despite the fact there'll probably be even more games in the future, making it easier to do so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, testament to how long Little has been there and what a crucial part of the Arsenal team she's been for such a long period of time now. Leuven with this goal kick. Seinhaver sending it forwards. Cooney cross wins the initial header. Decker heads on. Wubenmoy pounces. Now McCabe. Drilling it over the top, and that's headed away well. Mertens getting back in there. Now back to a goalkeeper. Getting pressed well here, and that's out of play.
Yeah, again, decision making between Jansen's her goalkeeper there. Not both of them got it wrong.
Here's Ruben Moy. Cadena. Now Ruben Moy. Back to Cadena. McCabe. Marnham. Touching it on. And one back well. And there's a late decision there from Demetrescu. That will be a free kick on Freedom Army.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the right decision. It took her time to get there, but Marnham was just caught by Bastiles. And it failed her. And Arsenal with a chance, we close on the 5 minutes to grab a 5th.
I mean, that would really consolidate the position they're in.
I'd expect the under-23 to turn up in the second leg.
This is the problem. Arsenal could go for an incredibly weak team next week, but they don't really have anyone at the club to do that.
No.
I mean, they may give like Barbara Votikova her debut. Ball in, and Cadena there skewing that one wide. It'll probably be this team again. You'd imagine they'll go full strength at the weekends, and then just rotate a few options, I guess. You think they'll probably play Taylor Hines at the weekend because McKay's played today and McKay's played all of the recent games. Sorry, Hines has been out injured.
Yeah.
Sorry. But Brighton isn't an easy game and they won't take it lightly. But yeah, you'd expect that they'll just rotate a little bit over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
We'll probably go back towards the strongest midfield and a lot of the stronger players.
Yeah, it's about striking that balance, but they're a side that you don't look. There aren't that many youth prospects so they can call upon and bring in.
Well, yeah, they're all out on loan.
Yeah,
they had a few come back in January, but they've all gone out on loan now. Wellesley Smith, we saw Vivian Lee. They've both gone on loan to the Damallsvenskan, as has Maddie Earl. And then Jessie Gale's gone back out on loan into the WSL2 with Bristol City, and Layla Harbert went out on loan to Everton. So they had a lot of options there, but if they weren't going to play many minutes, it just makes sense to give them those opportunities elsewhere. Another change for Leuven. Hermans coming up into the attack. Gabe. Out to the left-hand side, back towards McCabe. Plays it into Freedom Marnham. Rousseau drops to receive, spins nicely. Really good defending there, really good recovery. There's, I think it was Nagy, the substitute, who got back in there. And now Leuven trying to make something happen. Arsenal going backwards though. Cadena. McCabe. Ball through to Alessia Rousseau. Needs some support. Back into Ford. Now Cadena. McCabe. Bounces one off Kim Little. Cooney cross. Now Ruben Moy. Nice turn in there. Palova poking it through. Chance now for Marnham. Good challenge. His Rousseau cuts it back. Good goalkeeping there from Seinhaver. Made herself big and stopped that ball back across the face of goal. And a corner for Arsenal with 3 minutes of additional time at the end of what's been a very comfortable win for the Gunners.
Yeah, trying to add there. Rousseau looking for a second in the night since she came on, but a good save. Another good move. Been some good foot on display from both sides. But just quality in the final third has really made the difference.
And Arsenal now with a corner. Will they try another routine? This one's lumped into the area and a header skewed off fairly wildly, I think, off the head of Leia Cadena. But yeah, you do get an aerial threat there from Cadena, which you don't really get from their usual centre-half partnership and with Ruben Moy, to be fair. You don't really get that with the usual partnership of Williamson and Catley. But yeah, Cadena has got on the end of a few, but not really troubled the goalkeeper with any of them. Headed on by Russo. Marnham switch to the play into Ford. Cadena. A little now, wide with McCabe. In towards the back post, Holmberg across goal. Palova now, can't quite make contact with it. And that one's cleared away, and there's an offside decision anyway. Against, I believe, Smila Holmberg.
Yeah, just as the switch came across, Holmberg there, just drifting offside. Got the wrong side of Janssen once again, but luckily for the Leuven fullback, Holmberg had drifted too far.
And for all intents and purposes, this tie is over, Harry. So, who is your player of the match?
Oh, I think a couple of good players. Obviously there's some honourable mentions in the Leuven team, but Arsenal in front of the goal have been really good. I'll say Frida Marnham, got the double, had opportunity to take the hat trick, but couldn't quite convert them. But 2 goals in this game for Marnham, a very good performance on a return to the 11.
Yeah, fair enough. I could go for a defender. They haven't really much to do, so I will say Olivia Smith.
Yeah,
got another game where she thrived in that central position, dropped in really nicely to receive, was instrumental in some of the goals tonight. Obviously got her goal as well. It's just, I think, the most well taken of the goals. I think the others were harder to miss than they were to score. And yeah, I think it gave a great account of herself again. We've seen the quality and the potential there with Smith. She is, still a very young player, but seems to be maturing quite quickly now and quickly becoming a really important part of this Arsenal team. So yeah, my player of the match is Olivia Smith. Calling out for Leuven, can they find a late consolation which would give them a smattering of hope?
Something to work with.
To that game at Meadow Park next week.
So maybe they're setting up the greatest comeback in Champions League history.
If they score here, I'm fully on board. Demetrescu will delay the proceedings here as this corner. She has a complaint with Cadena, who's nowhere near anyone else. So go figure. Ball in towards the front post. It bounces around. Did that go over the line? Not quite going to get headed back across goal. Not turned home, and Leuven unable there to find anything to give their fans to celebrate in this late stage. Merton, I think the player that almost headed it over, not quite able though to find a consolation goal. And that will be the full-time whistle here in Belgium, in Havela. It was a spirited performance from OH Leuven, but one where quality prevailed. Arsenal dominance really as they romp to a 4-0 victory. A brace from Frida Marnham, who opened the scoring and added the third. Olivia Smith scored as well, 2 goals in consecutive games. And Alessia Russo got in on the act as a second half substitute. That is everything from us for this early stream. We'll be back in, under 15 minutes for the final game of this evening, or the later game of this evening, which is Paris FC taking on Real Madrid. So join us there. If you stay on this stream page, it will automatically redirect you to that other game. So stay here if you want to join us. If not, we're back tomorrow with more Champions League action. We're back this weekend with more live UWCL action. So there's lots to look out for over the next few days. Now, there's everything for this stream, and we'll see you in a moment.